against the chimney-piece once more. "You marry at 21? You have arranged that? You have only a permission to ask, a formality. Sit down, sir. Well, you have had a revolution since I had the honor to see you last. The Jacobins got the upper hand. You must have been delighted. Are you not a Republican, since you are a baron? You can make that agree. The Republic makes a good sauce for the barony. Are you one of those decorated by July? Have you taken the Louvre at all, sir? Quite near here, in the Rue Saint-Antoine, opposite the Rue des Normandières, there is a cannonball encrusted in the wall of the third story of a house, with this inscription: July 28th, 1830. Go, take a look at that. It produces a good effect. Ah, those friends of yours do pretty things. By the way, aren't they erecting a fountain in the place of the monument of Monsieur le Duc de Berry? So, you want to marry. Whom? Can one inquire without indiscretion? He paused, and before Marius had time to answer, he added violently, "Come now! You have a profession, a fortune made. How much do you earn at your trade of lawyer?" "Nothing," said Marius, with a sort of firmness and resolution that was almost fierce. "Nothing? Then all you have to live upon is the 1,200 livres that I allow you?" Marius did not reply. Monsieur Gillenormand continued: "Then I understand the girl is rich?" "As rich as I am." "What? No dowry?" "No." "Expectations?" "I think not." "Utterly naked. What's the father?" "I don't know." "And what's her name?" "Mademoiselle Fauchelevent." "Fauche what?" "Fauchelevent." "Pft!" ejaculated the old gentleman. "Sir!" exclaimed Marius. Monsieur Gillenormand interrupted him with the tone of a man who is speaking to himself. "That's right, 21 years, no profession, 1,200 livres a year. Madame la Baronne de Pontmercy will go and purchase a couple of sous' worth of parsley from the fruitière." "Sir," repeated Marius, in the despair of the last hope, which was vanishing, "I entreat you, I conjure you in the name of heaven, with clasped hands, sir, I throw myself at your feet, permit me to marry her." The old man burst into a shout of strident and mournful laughter, coughing and laughing at the same time. You said to yourself, "Pardine, I'll go hunt up that old blockhead, that absurd numbskull. What a shame that I'm not 25, how I'd treat him to a nice, respectful summons. How nicely I'd get along without him. It's nothing to me. I'd say to him, 'You're only too happy to see me, you old idiot. I want to marry. I desire to wed Mamselle no matter whom, daughter of Monsieur no matter what. I have no shoes, she has no chemise. That just suits. I want to throw my career, my future, my youth, my life to the dogs. I wish to take a plunge into wretchedness with a woman around my neck. That's an idea, and you must consent to it. And the old fossil will consent. Go, my lad, do as you like. Attach your paving stone. Marry your Pousselivan, your Coupelivan. Never, sir, never." "Father." "Never." At the tone in which that "never" was uttered, Marius lost all hope. He traversed the chamber with slow steps, with bowed head, tottering and more like a dying man than like one merely taking his departure. Monsieur Gillenormand followed him with his eyes, and at the moment when the door opened and Marius was on the point of going out, he advanced 4 paces with the senile vivacity of impetuous and spoiled old gentlemen, seized Marius by the collar, brought him back energetically into the room, flung him into an armchair, and said to him, Tell me all about it."
It was that single word, father, which had effected this revolution. Marius stared at him in bewilderment. M. Gillenormand's mobile face was no longer expressive of anything but rough and ineffable good nature. The grandsire had given way before the grandfather.
"Come, see here, speak. Tell me about your love affairs. Jabber, tell me everything. Sapristi, how stupid young folks are!"
"Father," repeated Marius. The old man's entire countenance lighted up with indescribable radiance.
"Yes, that's right. Call me father, and you'll see."
There was now something so kind, so gentle, so open-hearted, and so paternal in this brusqueness, that Marius, in the sudden transition from discouragement to hope, was stunned and intoxicated by it, as it were. He was seated near the table. The light from the candles brought out the dilapidation of his costume, which Father Gillenormand regarded with amazement. "Well, father," said Marius.
"Ah, by the way," interrupted M. Gillenormand, "you really have not a penny, then? You are dressed like a pickpocket."
He rummaged in a drawer, drew forth a purse, which he laid on the table.
"Here are 100 louis. Buy yourself a hat."
"Father," pursued Marius, "my good father, if you only knew, I love her. You cannot imagine it. The first time I saw her was at the Luxembourg. She came there. In the beginning, I did not pay much heed to her, and then, I don't know how it came about, I fell in love with her. Oh, how unhappy that made me! Now, at last, I see her every day, at her own home. Her father does not know it. Just fancy, they are going away. It is in the garden that we meet, in the evening. Her father means to take her to England. Then I said to myself, I'll go and see my grandfather and tell him all about the affair. I should go mad first. I should die. I should fall ill. I should throw myself into the water. I absolutely must marry her, since I should go mad otherwise. This is the whole truth, and I do not think that I have omitted anything. She lives in a garden with an iron fence in the Rue Plumet. It is in the neighborhood of the Invalides." Father Gillenormand had seated himself with a beaming countenance beside Marius. As he listened to him and drank in the sound of his voice, he enjoyed at the same time a protracted pinch of snuff. At the words Rue Plumet, he interrupted his inhalation and allowed the remainder of his snuff to fall upon his knees.
The Rue Plumet, did you say? Let us see. Are there not barracks in that vicinity? But why, yes, that's it. Your cousin, Théodule, has spoken to me about it. The lancer, the officer, a gay girl, my good friend, a gay girl. Pardieu, yes. The Rue Plumet. It is what used to be called the Rue Plamet. It all comes back to me now. I have heard of that little girl, of the iron railing in the Rue Plumet, in a garden. Pamela, your taste is not bad. She is said to be a very tidy creature. Between ourselves, I think that simpleton of a lancer has been courting her a bit. I don't know where he did it. However, that's not to the purpose. Besides, he is not to be believed. He brags, Marius. I think it quite proper that a young man like you should be in love. It's the right thing at your age. I like you better as a lover than a Jacobin. I like you better in love with a petticoat, sapristi, with 20 petticoats, than with Monsieur de Robespierre. For my part, I will do myself the justice to say that in the line of sans-culotte, I have never loved any one but women. Pretty girls are pretty girls, the deuce. There's no objection to that. As for the little one, she receives you without her father's knowledge. Well, that's in the established order of things. I have had adventures of that same sort myself, more than one. Do you know what is done then? One does not take the matter ferociously. One does not precipitate himself into the tragic. One does not make one's mind to marriage and Monsieur le Maire with his scarf. One simply behaves like a fellow of spirit. One shows good sense. Slip along, mortals. Don't marry. You come and look up your grandfather, who is a good-natured fellow.